And he didn't open up that cluster very much that I can see. So his board is cleared out of the fouls. He may now do anything he wants to. The score is 10-0 still, as you see. Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane, with Mr. Balsis at the table. Mr. Balsis has 2 scratches against him, so that a third scratch would cost him 16 points. 15 for the third scratch and 1 for the scratch itself. Safety. He must either... He's going to attempt to play the 1 ball in the side pocket. That's the one on the end there, the light one. Holy mackerel, and he made it. Beautiful shot. So, that breaks Mr. Balsis out of the cocoon. And the safety and scratch strategy has been won by Mr. Balsis. Mr. Balsis now with 10-11-0, actually on a run of 1. But what has he to shoot? As you see, in attempting to make that difficult shot, he wasn't able to play any position for himself, and he's right back in the rack. That's his cue ball with a little dot on it, and he's going to have to go back to safety. Hits the cue ball, hits the object ball, drives the cue ball to the rail, and the safety completed. His inning at the table is completed. The score is 11-0. Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane, who plays a safety, driving, as you saw, the 12 ball to the rail. So, it's 11-0 still. Mr. Balsis at the table. He may elect a safety, a scratch, or shoot out. Be sure that you understand the reason for this safety play. When you're stuck and you can't do anything else, this is your protection. He touched the object ball. Whoop, he didn't scratch. That was close, wasn't it? Didn't scratch. And it's 11-0 against him, so that he may safely play a safety or a scratch. Now, the thing that makes safety play so difficult here is when you hit that object ball, particularly from this distance away, you are likely to dislodge it. And any time you open up that cluster, you stand the chance of opening up the table for your opponent. And this, with these men, is a fate worse than death, because Mr. Balsis could get right up here and run 39 balls and in one stand, and that would be the end of the whole party.
2 ball in the corner combination.
2 ball combination. That's the one on the edge there. Oh, wow. Isn't that a beautiful shot? Beautiful, beautiful shot. And listen, that a hand this appreciative audience gives them. All right, Mr. Crane has broken out of it. It's 11-2. Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane, with Mr. Crane at the table on a run of 2. And the table well spread, as you see. Now watch Mr. Crane's position play. I think that he is probably as great a master of position play as there is in the United States today. That and strategy, defensive strategy. He will be thinking the whole table ahead. He probably has it pretty well plotted already, although he doesn't have too good a break ball at the moment. He might want to change that. That can change your strategy. If your break ball is set up, then sometimes you can plot the whole 14. See the draw? Actually, in watching Mr. Crane play, you get the impression that he's not especially great. He doesn't shoot anything too great. What I mean is he doesn't make the hard shots. And the reason for that is he's such a master at position play, he never has many hard shots to shoot. He arranges it that way. 3-time world champion, Irving Crane. The match with Joe Balsis this afternoon was such a tremendous defensive struggle. Popped up the cue ball a little bit there. Six ball in the corner. Notice the follow English. And it is 11-8. Mr. Balsis over Mr. Crane on a run of 8. Mr. Crane still at the table with the 13 ball, his object. Now he'll probably use the 11 ball, either that or the 14 ball, as his break ball. Well, now we know it's not going to be the 11. That's the one that's about to be pocketed. So it is 11 to 10 on a run of 10. Mr. Crane clearing out the pockets there. This is not a gully table. It is a pocket table. And as a result, they clear those out to be sure that the ball doesn't go in there and pop back out again. If it should, it does not count as a ball scored. So they clean those out. They could pop up. And back.
12 ball.
Would use the 12 ball as his last shot and the 14 ball as his break shot.
13.
Beautifully played. Beautifully played. Ready to go with Mr. Crane in his run. Mr. Crane, who now leads, I saw that scoreboard correctly, and I did, 13 to 11 on a run of 13.
14 ball.
14 ball is break ball. He must get in and scatter up that rack, which he did.
14.
Very interesting to watch Mr. Crane. He very rarely slams into the rack the way some players will. You sometimes even wonder if he could shoot hard. But notice the break that he got on those balls. Now, he hardly touched that rack, and still see how well they're spread. This is not, incidentally, a game of powerful stroke. This is a delicate touch, a fine touch.
4 ball. 15.
15 to 11, Mr. Crane on the run of 15.
8 ball.
This will be a pretty fine cut. But handles it and also breaks up his cluster a little better, so that now he can pick them off with ease. This afternoon, when these two men were playing, particularly in the later stages of the game, they got so they would hardly open that rack at all. They'd just pick up the strays off the corners. They didn't want to be in the position of leaving too much if they missed. As a matter of fact, they played so close defensively that they each got themselves in positions from which they couldn't extricate themselves, and each lost his turn at the table as a result. All right, 17 to 11, Mr. Crane, on the run of 17.
18. 9 ball. 19.
Actually, the rules of the game state that the player must state which ball he wants to play and in which pocket. But it is so obvious that all he has to do is call the ball, and in most cases, a good referee like Mr. Sterling will call it for him. Mr. Sterling, being the player that he is, pretty well knows how Mr. Crane wants to play this table, and he calls the balls, almost calls the game for him.
20.
Also, a good referee, such as, well, Mr. Oliver, when we were producing 10-20 back in 1959, can keep a game moving by calling the shot. It will tend to keep the players from dawdling. Combination here. And this ball was beautifully shot, beautifully shot. Sometimes these combinations are pretty certain, but they always shake me up a little bit. I can't shoot one in at a time, much less two.
23.
All right, table pretty well opened up. You may want to use the 7 ball as his break ball. That's the one just below and to the left of his cue ball.
34.
Now, of course, his hesitation here is, how does he get to the 2 and the 5, which he must play off, and still work into position below the 7 so that he can come into the rack. Mr. Balsis watching with great interest right here. And he knows that Mr. Crane prefers to break alongside the rack rather than working at the top. He likes to shoot up, actually down to the pockets. This is the foot rail toward which he is shooting. Now,
5 ball.
the side pocket, and there he is. Oh! He is completed. He has lack of ball.